I'm Kayoon Anderson and we're in my studio in North London. My paintings are simple, imagined interiors. The starting point is often people, and I'm pulling figures from photos that I've taken and also old family photos. So they are people that I know pretty much always. Kind of my parents when they were younger, my grandparents, me and my brother when we were little, that kind of thing. When I make a composition, I don't think it's about who the people are necessarily, but kind of combining something of the emotion that I get from their form with other patterns and objects and simple shapes to kind of create an imagined space that calls back to my kind of identity and heritage in some way. Having done a BA in architecture definitely affects the way that I approach my works now. I really enjoy the simple geometry and the kind of building up of spaces from that. The way that I build a digital composition first before painting, I think of that as kind of the foundation to the painting. And in order for the painting to work, in my mind, the foundation has to be really, really strong. When I paint figures, again, like with the everyday and the quietness, it's wanting to kind of celebrate the kind of little interactions, like figures of a household, family members. And I was thinking back to how I was painting that on that screen. It was multiple scenes of my mum and my grandma, and how I really love the idea of trying to represent these kind of family moments, which in that painting is quite specific to Korean tradition maybe, but is recognizable, I suppose, in all cultures around the world. The colors that I'm drawn to are very earthy, and I think maybe a part of that as well is having spent some time in Siena and being surrounded by like these dusty, beautiful colored buildings, and driving in the fields outside Siena when they were tilling the land, and it was, you could literally see the burnt sienna color in the soil. Because I'm pulling figures and objects from photos, and I paint them realistically quite a lot of the time, but then again I'm also mixing that with just flat objects and flat patterns. I enjoy the tension that brings, and the way that combining these naturalistic and non-naturalistic elements creates a space that sits somewhere between representational and abstract. And for me, what that does is create a more intimate feeling. So rather than being a viewer kind of looking into a painting that's full of space and light and shadow, I'm instead wanting to create a composition made up of different perspectives, different types of representation, to allow the viewer to kind of enter it and make their own way through it. Motherhood is something that I've been thinking a lot about, and thinking back to motherhood and parenting in Korea and the UK, there are a lot of differences. And I think for me, it's just been nice to kind of think back and observe, and not just about motherhood, but in cultures generally, what are the differences and the similarities. And I guess for me, I've had the luxury almost to see the differences in cultures and make my own choice of how I want to lead my life. And that kind of choosing your own perspective is something that I try and pull into my own paintings too. Some of my paintings have been an observation of how my mother and her mother act and the kind of relationships within kind of Korean families. That is from a picture, a photo of me as a baby with my oldest cousin in Korea. And yeah, we're playing with a doll. I think as well, motherhood has been such a big topic for me recently. My family in Korea is full of really strong women characters. My grandma had 10 daughters, so there's a lot of women in my family, and they're all I've been lucky. I was born in Korea, spent my first couple of years there, and we spent a lot of my childhood there as well. So I've kind of seen, mothers at work. The artists that I look to, it's not about what they paint, but how they paint. And so I look a lot at medieval artists. I'm really drawn to the way they playfully compose their spaces. And it's the same I find in a lot of traditional Korean work, where they're jumbling up, representing objects from different perspectives to create this fun but still very balanced and stable composition. I was looking recently at the difference between The Last Suppers by Leonardo da Vinci and also Duccio. In Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, he's kind of represented it with a lot of light and shadow. It's very tonal, and the effect is incredible, but it's also very grand. And how I feel looking at it is that I'm an observer from the outside. I can't really enter the painting. But when I see Duccio's Last Supper, where he's kind of formed this composition very flatly, there's not a huge depth of space, there's these multiple perspectives happening. It feels more inviting to me, and it's warmer somehow. There's more focus on colour than tone, which is also something that I try to do in my practice. I kind of see the same in Morandi's work, which I love. It's a very controlled design on the canvas. The way that he kind of makes his objects line up to form straight lines. But then again, his application of paint is more organic and more instinctive. That's kind of something that I also try and do in my own work. And I think that flatness in space adds to the intimate feeling that you get from the works. They're intimate, but they're not grand, they're very humble, they're quite quiet works, and there's a lot of focus on pattern and things that you can tell would have taken a lot of time and craft and dedication to make, which I really admire. Works can feel intimate, whether they're small or big. I personally enjoy a medium, a meter by meter size, but I feel regardless of scale, there's still a lot you can do within that to create a space that feels personal and intimate.